India lose the deciding one-day international at Chennai. And Australia, of course, the better team. They win by 21 runs. It's going to be a very bitter pill to swallow for Indian supporters who at one stage thought Kohli will see us through. It wasn't to be a half-century in Wayne's 65th half-century of Kohli's career. India falls short by 21 runs. And Australia, much like 2019, win yet another ODI series against India in India. My name is Manish Batavia. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. Zaheer Khan and Dinesh Karthik alongside on this show. Of course, DK joins us from his palatial bungalow in Chennai. I'm sure he's feeling a bit uneasy as well, seeing what's transpired. But Zach, first things first, credit where it's due for Australia. Can we now officially, forcefully say that Australian cricket has been revived? Are they back to their good old days, the glory days?
Well, when you talk about Australia, you always have to consider the fact that they have in this format won so many World Cups. So they've been one of the consistent teams to do well in this format. You can't really take them lightly at any stage. Doesn't matter what is their recent form. So that's one thing. And when you're mentioning also the fact that the last series loss in India happened in 2019, just before that 2019 big World Cup. And that is something which you can correlate right now, in this whole scenario. Australia was the team who beat India at that stage as well. And there was a confusion around number 4 spot around that time as well. So there is some resemblance in many ways right now in the series as well. But today, as we were talking about keeping things simple, you had a good start. Mitchell Stark not getting wickets. That box was ticked nicely in this particular match. But that batting order change, it's still beyond my understanding. It's easy to say from outside and when you're watching, but still, I think sometimes you just got to be proactive. I felt just unnecessary changing things. You got to have that kind of faith in your batting lineup because you had the good start. You had Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill batting beautifully for the first 10 overs. Virat Kohli continuing with that. But then the whole change in the batting order post that is something which needs to be looked at again, especially in the crucial matches going forward.
India were 85 for 2 at the 15 over mark, and DK at that stage it looked like KL Rahul and Virat Kohli were starting to set a certain foundation. But then Australia, true to their cricketing DNA, just kept coming at India, just kept asking questions, and were just waiting for India to blink, and it happened for them.
Look, this game was all about how the old ball was going to be played. Yeah, and it is very, very interesting how Australia played it. I thought they were very smart about it right at the outset. Mitchell Stark bowling a lot of scramble seam, didn't swing as much, so they realized that the best chance is to get the ball to reverse. So the way they used the new ball, and they knew their 2 spinners were the trump card. And the most important factor, identifying the fact that batting second was going to be tougher. Generally, in Chennai, batting second under lights get better, but this wicket, and they read it beautifully, the fact that it was going to spin, so they chose to bat first, whereas Rohit Sharma at the toss said he would have bowled first. So you have to say Australia read that situation really well, taking that option, putting on a score. They were at different points of time pushed in their batting, but they found a way to just hang on to those partnerships. And we said in the mid-innings break, 270 is a pass score. And the way the spinners bowled, 6 wickets between them, was pretty much the key. Their most important bowler, Mitchell Stark, just like Zach said, didn't take a wicket, went for runs, and in spite of that, they defended the score and pretty comfortably too. So credit where credit is due. And I think the star of the show was how well Stephen Smith led that Australian team. He was brilliant.
Yes, the one thing that all cricket fans do, especially after a loss, is they look at the scorecard and ask themselves or expect answers from ex-cricketers on where the match changed. What was the turning point? To my mind, and I was wondering, I thought of 3 points. One was the Kohli wicket. Then you saw Hardik Pandya get out, trying to hit a big one, top edge. But the other moment was towards the end of the first innings. India had them down 7 wickets at 203 and then allowed 8, 9, 10 to score those extra runs that perhaps cost India the game. What in your mind was the turning point?
See, I think I wouldn't go too much into the bowling innings. So that's something which we did speak about. 270 was not something which we would look at saying that, okay, bowlers have not done their job. It was a decent total. You look at the way the game also has gone. We were in that position to seal the game when KL Rahul and Virat partnership was building, the way Rohit and Gill started, and the way Hardik really upped the ante and batted with that strike rate on this pitch. Shows that if you apply yourself, you can actually put bowlers under pressure. For the larger part of the game, for the larger part of the chase, India was controlling. I think it just KL Rahul's wicket at that stage was maybe the start of the turning point, because that's when Akshar walked in, then he got run out, and then Hardik and Virat tried to steady the ship again, which put pressure on Virat as well. He had to again change the gear and then look to consolidate. And we did mention that Chennai kind of a pitch, one wicket can bring two, and that really adds the pressure. So whoever is in, it's about, just consolidating every, say, 10, 15 run blocks, keep on building on that, and then you take a call, say maybe 12 overs to spare in the game. So you got to push the game as deep as possible. And that is something which was maybe missing. There was some anxiety. Maybe, it was just creating that move on a tad bit early maybe, because just before KL Rahul got out, he was starting to play forceful big shots, which he was successful in, but he lost the wicket also in the process. So I think for me, the turning point was KL Rahul's wicket much earlier than what actually things how panned out later.
Now, DK, in the age where we're watching and consuming and enjoying a lot of T20 cricket, it can be a bit difficult. It can be quite a task to follow what's happening in the one-day game. Even the viewer can lose focus as well. There was one passage where India did not score a boundary for 49 deliveries. Is that the passage that eventually put more pressure on India? Or at that stage, did you think, no, there's Kohli and KL Rahul, they'll see India through this? Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, Surya Kumar Yadav to come at that stage?
Look, I think in these sort of pitches, which is slightly slow, there will be phases when you don't get boundaries. But what was interesting was once KL Rahul literally went from second gear to sixth gear straight. He got a six, he got a four. He wanted to keep going with that momentum. And he picked a ball in many ways, which again could have easily been a six. But that shift in gear, there's a transient period in one-day cricket where you're playing at a sedate pace and then you slightly but steadily take off. In that phase, when you lose wickets, then the momentum again goes back to the bowling side. And this happened consistently to us through our chase. KL Rahul and Virat Kohli stitched a partnership, in which Virat Kohli started positively at the start, but KL Rahul was sedate through. But when KL Rahul started going, he just lasted 5 to 6 balls. He got out. When Hardik Pandya came, he took on. He actually started playing shots. The moment Virat Kohli got out, I think things changed drastically post that. I think after that, you could see Hardik went into a shell. He wasn't trying to play those big sweeps that he played at the outset when he had just walked in. He controlled himself, played to the situation. But again, when the game was on the line, Steven Smith set a clever field, played on Hardik's ego and said, I'm setting your fielder straight down at long on. Now, let me see if you're going to clear it. But at the start of the inning, Hardik was sweeping. But when Zampa came on, even though deep square leg fielder wasn't there was just deep mid wicket, long on and a straight fielder. He chose not to sweep and backed himself to hit that six, which was exactly what Steven Smith was hoping he would do and miss. And that was a very critical moment because from in that transient period when you end it, at the end of the day, all things said and done, it was 5 overs, 50 runs. Not even 50, 45 runs with all the chaos that took place. Imagine a Hardik and a Ravindra Jadeja there at that stage. That's game, set and match for you.
You know, very often cricket teaches us the lesson of not judging a performance by just looking at the scorecard. If you look at India's batting card today, you'll see Virat Kohli, half century, Zach's 65th half century of his career. But bigger players are judged by very different yardsticks. Any other player, someone would have said, well done, well tried. But Kohli is expected to finish games. It's been a while since we last saw Virat Kohli finish the chase in his signature style. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So for you, glass half full or glass half empty?
I always see glass half full. So that's the way I see things. It just comes very naturally to me. I think it's about everyone contributing, everyone just playing a role. So you can't just say that okay, now he has to finish the game. All those things. That way, even Hardik will be thinking the same right now. He was at that stage. Even Jadeja will be thinking the same right now because there were these moments in the game where each individual could have just gone on a bit longer and then close the game for the team. That's how the game goes. So I think it's there are a lot of positives from today's match. The game was very interesting. It was a very well fought game. Both the teams actually it was an ideal decider. When you look at it that way, right? So you got to look at the game in that light. At the end of the day, it's a game. Some team is going to win, some team is going to lose. Different individuals are going to step up on different stages, and as a group, you got to hold your nerves as well. Today was the day when you look at those numbers which you are playing before the start of the match today. You're looking at all the good things which Indian team has been able to achieve in decider, and that is something which has been the strength right now going in this game. Maybe the biggest positive was that. But end of the day, it's law of averages also catch up. Not every time you're going to walk out there and you're going to be successful that way. So from that way, there are some learnings from this game for sure, which I'm sure the whole team management will be taking note of. Next time you're in this kind of a situation, you can do things differently. But on the whole, it was just good game of cricket, and the better team won today. I think Steve Smith was really good with using his resources. He kept the pressure on, even though there was partnership happening. He held his nerves and marshaled his troops very well. And that's how you're seeing Australian team landing on the right side of the result.
Yes, and Kohli, top scorer for India today, 54 of 72, 65th half century. It was terrific to watch while it lasted. DK, it looked like, well, typical Kohli innings, stuff of genius.
Yeah, I think he started really well, played some attractive shots, bogged down a little bit by spin through the middle, but typical Kohli style, fought it through, got it to a point where he knew he made a tactical error. Last over of Ashton Agar, should he have delayed that shot, considering previous over he tried it and almost carried. So he'd be very disappointed thinking that there was a chance for him to take the team through and he didn't. But till the time he lasted, he played a very Kohli-esque knock, which had a lot of running between the wickets involved, didn't play too many big shots, but the inside-out shot over long off for a six of Ashton Agar was one for posterity. I think he'll be very, very proud of that shot.
Well, the Indians will be worried or slightly disappointed with this result, but the Mumbai Indians will be a touch anxious as well. I have to ask Zaheer Khan this question. 3 golden ducks. The optimist will say the worst has passed him, only good things to come now. How should Surya Kumar Yadav look at digesting these 3 deliveries that he's faced in this series?
I mean, you don't see these kind of things often, and with such players, you not often see these kind of numbers. But it's happened. That's a fact. Yeah. As a cricketer, you just got to just move on. I think you're always one innings away from your form or your best innings. That's the way you should approach the game. That's the way game teaches you, and I think it's just about finding that positivity. So for him, I think it's important that he just shakes off this whole series. If you have a delete enter button, find that very soon, and then just move on. I think just 3 good deliveries getting you out, and I always like this approach of Virender Sehwag, who always used to say that it's not about getting out on 0. It's when you're in, you have to make it count, and you have to make it so big that impact, that innings, no one should forget. And it's cricket end of the day. So I never forget his this line, and it just apt for anyone who is going through a tough time.
Yes, amnesia can be a good trait for any athlete, for any artist really, regardless of the sphere you are in. DK, in your long career, you would have seen tough phases. What should that inner dialogue be for Surya Kumar Yadav?
Oh, it's happened to every batsman. It was very interesting to note that Ajit Agarkar was on air when Surya Kumar's third dismissal happened. He's an all-rounder, but he's gone through that phase where he's had a few ducks. Every batter goes through this. I think everybody feels for him because we know the kind of talent he possesses. But T20 is a different format. He is a different beast in that format. So when he wears those Mumbai Indian colours, he's a different player. He's done so well for them. He'll only get confidence walking into that dressing room, knowing that that's a format he's aced in the last couple of years.
Coming in at number 7, or he was asked to go in lower down the order. What was the reason behind that, and how do you think he processed it mentally? DK?
I do think probably Rahul Rao just listened to Cricbuzz live and decided that maybe sending it slightly lower down the order was a useful option. It
So,
didn't work
DK,
out
so you
today.
are taking the responsibility, yeah, DK? Are you taking the responsibility to just plant this thought in the management?
I genuinely, personally feel with the way he is batting and watching him very closely, in a shorter space of time, the amount of impact that he's created is formidable compared to anybody else who's batting in the world right now. And I don't want that to ever go to waste, because sometimes when you play larger amount of overs, it can be very tricky, it can be different, but he has the technique. He's done it in even one day cricket for short amounts of time. He's got a 45 in New Zealand, which very breathtaking knocks. That's the kind of knocks he's played. So that was the logic behind it. Didn't work out today. I still feel there is a massive place for him in the side. It's going to boil down to whether you're going to look at Sanju Samson. Between Sanju Samson, Ishan Kishan, and Surya Kumar, you get the feeling one or two might be there. So that's the challenge there as we sit here right now.
Aksar sent in before Hardik and Surya. Now that's going to be a bit difficult for Indian cricket fans to accept or digest.
Look, we did touch upon that discussion around whether you want to use a left-hander. And if you want to use the left-hander to create positive momentum there, you want to up the run rate at that stage and look to use it. If it's used tactically, it's fine. I mean, there's no harm in using a left-hander that way. Tactically, we've seen a lot of teams do that. It's just that it has to be dependent on what and if, and you got to be proactive. So if the start was not good, maybe that kind of thought process was required. But the start was good today. You scored 10 overs, some 65 runs. You laid that platform. So the dangerous phase which you're talking about, or which was worrying you, which was a concern leading into this game, you had actually seen that phase off. So if you had seen that phase off, then you should be proactive enough to change your thought process in game. I just thought that at times you get caught up with the preset plans, and then you just want to stick to that and carry on. Today was maybe the classic example of that. When you didn't get a good start, then you look to stretch your batting order, then you look to change things. It was understandable, but I think today it was something else which was seen. You changed KL Rahul's position as well.
Yep.
And then you've changed Surya's position as well. So on the whole, there were too many changes as a result of trying to achieve one thing, which was maybe need to be relooked, going forward.
Yeah, Zaheer Khan and I were on Cricbuzz Combox when during the 36th over, the producer in my ear said, wicket, wicket. He said it twice. Virat Kohli got out, and then they got another dismissal that really changed the complexion. It was this 36th over, DK, that just gave the Indian supporters of the feeling that, look, I think it's over. It's out of India's reach. At that stage, 36th over, it was pretty much curtains, one thought.
I personally didn't think it was over, because Hardik and Ravindra Jadeja, two very capable batters. I had the belief that they could take the team through, but you always knew it was just one wicket poster. Then you had Kuldeep, Siraj and Shami to follow, which obviously doesn't augur really well when you have to chase a lot of runs. So these two were the batters, a lot of pressure on them, a great learning experience as well for Team India. These could very well be the kind of pitches that we encounter as the World Cup carries on, because the wickets could get slower, assist more turn. A word of praise for Ashton Agar. You got to understand, he's part of the test team, sent back, came in, didn't have much to do in the first two ODIs, comes in and bowls a really good spell. You got the feeling he could have got a lot more wickets the way he bowled really well. And also, the Indian batting was distinct in two parts. For players who played the sweep shot and for the players who didn't, it looked very different. When Hardik played a couple of sweep shots, he looked a different bowler, whereas Bradman prior to that didn't use the sweep shot because probably it's not part of their arsenal, and the bowler looked very, very different.
How good was Ashton Agar today? Just gave away 41 runs off his 10 overs. Another inspired selection from Steve Smith. And looks like from the start of that third test match, Australia have been spot on with their selection. So much more today as well with Zampa and Agar. They read the wicket well, and the spinners did the job, picking up 6 of India's 10 wickets.
Absolutely. So you have to give credit to Australian think tank for this for sure. They've been making these changes, understanding what was required from the previous game, depending on the conditions, how one should approach, and all their changes have been spot on. Ashton Agar in particular today was superb. With the kind of bounce he was getting, it was Kohli's brilliance early on that he was able to negate that, and KL Rahul also stitched that nice partnership. But on the whole, I think he bowled superbly. Taking those 2 wickets at the crucial time also helped It was just the timing of those dismissals was also a crucial one, because after that Zampa's only 3 overs were left.
Yes, and Adam Zampa was on top of his game as well. He got a fair bit of sharp turn and bounce on this wicket. DK, terrific spell, one that will give him a world of confidence for that big World Cup later this year.
He seems to be the key bowler for Australia. Both Pat Cummins and Steven Smith in their times as captain has used him as a trump card, looked at him as wickets, pretty much like how we look at a Kuldeep, even though Zampa has been doing it over a period of time now. All the critical overs, you could see Steven Smith held on to him for those 2 overs in the last 10 overs and brought him on at times when the batter was under pressure to score runs. He believed Zampa could get the wicket, and the faith was repaid back by the bowler. He's done it consistently over a period of time. So he's got the upper hand on a lot of the batters, had a good record even against the Virat Kohli. So he's one of those that Australia heavily depend on for Australia to do well in this World Cup.
Australia do Australia things often when they have their backs to the wall. Now, even after this win, they look at this bowling card and wonder what happened to Mitchell Starc. So, Zach, what happened to Mitchell Starc today?
Just one of those days. I think, with him, you know that he's the kind of bowler who likes to pitch the ball up. That's where his rewards also lies. So when the ball is swinging, he gets maximum reward for that. He can run through any side. But when there is not a lot of help on offer, then it can go against you as well. And I think today it was one of those days. And you have to give credit to Indian batters as well. Shubman Gill in particular, hitting those sixes of him was something special. Not easy when someone is in this form. Doesn't matter how he's bowling today, but still to be able to have that intent is where the credit needs to be given. But on the whole, he's had a terrific series. I think for Australia to be where they are, even when you've not really put runs on board in the first match in Wankhede, he managed to keep them in the game, stayed in the hunt, created that fight. That's very important. Otherwise, start of the season, start of the series, that you've not been able to produce competition in that particular match, then you can really be demoralized. Beg your pardon. But when you have that kind of a performance and then you follow it up with a win, it was purely Mitchell Starc in that particular match, creating that kind of a platform, that kind of a comeback, certainly is going to carry that momentum forward to the decider as well. Decider he couldn't deliver, but as a team, they were able to pull together a great performance.
Yes, he gave India a scare at the Wankhede Stadium. He won them the game in Vizag, and it was one of those off days for Mitchell Starc. DK, do you reckon he was trying a bit too hard? Because we saw him sort of bowling a few wides down the leg side, especially to Jadeja. Was he trying too hard?
The one ball that he wasn't nailing well was the Yorker today, and he was trying a lot for that because that is his wicket-taking delivery. Once the ball starts reversing, he gets that late swing. And the Yorker wasn't probably landing as well as he could. And that's why the runs went in the later part. Initially, they attacked him, but that's because he was looking for the swing and for getting wickets. The repercussion is that when it doesn't happen, you can go for runs. And that happened, and I think Australia were okay with that. But in the second half of the game, when the ball did start to reverse, I think he tried to bowl fuller to hit the pads or the stumps, and that was going down the leg. And that's why so many extras were conceded.
Adam Zampa has been adjudged man of the match, and he's credited his spin bowling partner for this win. India's got to look back. India's got to take a hard look at what they've done. Yes, the first one day was won by India, not without a scare against Mitchell Starc. The Indian batting has a few questions to answer, Zach. If you were asked to analyze or look at where India have gone wrong in this series, after winning the first one to lose the second and the third, what are the key lessons for the Indian batting, especially in this 3-match series?
Well, for sure, I think they will look at the options, the approach, and how you can deal with this kind of a situation again. That is something will definitely be there. A left armer bringing the ball back in to right-hander, and Indian team losing wickets has been that way. Happening occasionally, but it has been happening. You've seen someone like Shaheen Shah Afridi also producing that kind of a spell. So that is something you have to think about, because these tactics will be used if there is swing on offer. So all those things also matter. The batting order is something which they'll have to definitely look at again. They'll have to figure out the number 4 option again. That is something which was the discussion leading to 2019 World Cup as well. And we are talking about, what, 4 years down the line now, if you are in the same boat. Yes, I understand, okay, Shreyas Iyer was your designated number 4. You are really looking at him taking that role and responsibility. But if he is going to be injured now for the longer time, then you have to really find these answers, and you need to have that pattern sorted in terms of how you're going to approach the 50 overs, like how DK was also mentioning. It's about, constantly slightly pushing that tempo higher and higher, and then having a very specific plan. Okay, at 35 over mark, you should be somewhere around this, depending on particular conditions. Those kind of discussions, I feel, will be happening and will be looked at. On the whole, it was a decent performance by all the bowlers. The second game, I'm not counting in bowling, because after batting, bowlers didn't really have an opportunity in that. But in Wankhede, they did create that kind of impact. Here also, they restricted Australia after having batted first. You have to control the game. They did. So on the whole, I think it was a decent bowling performance, but batting wise, for sure, they'll have to figure out something.
DK, India unable to finish this match. At one stage, they were in control of it. It wasn't to be. Australia win 2-1. Are there positives for India from this series?
Yes, I think there has been a few positives. If you look at the nitty-gritties of it, I think Shami with the new ball, if there is something in offer for the wicket, then he is somebody who's very venomous. I think Siraj, when he was put under pressure, just the way he bowled that 7th over for a maiden against 2 batsmen who were going, is again a small little success story of a fast bowler in very tough conditions delivering for you. Kuldeep Yadav is again a very, very good positive story there to take out. I think in the batting, the intent that they're showing in the first 10 overs is phenomenal. So there are many positives for India to look at. But what they need to be aware is, what are their options for number 4 if Shreyas Iyer is not fit? That they need to be ready with. If Shreyas Iyer is fit, it's obvious that he will walk into this team. He deserves to be in that team at number 4. If he is not there, what are they going to do? What is the batting order going to look like? And if Bumrah is there, what is the bowling order going to look like? And if Bumrah is not there, who is your designated death bowler? Because the more you give them the opportunities to bowl at the death, that will give you more clarity as to how you want to proceed towards in ODI cricket.
Yes, in this World Cup year, India have a lot of questions to answer. You guys had one very important question to answer. As always, joy factor. What was the answer? Raju, pull out the answer very quickly in 3, 2, 1. Raju, come on. Have you gone? No, you can't be asleep. Tara Norris of the Delhi Capitals, who plays for the USA. That is the answer. But what was the question? I know it was years ago when we asked you that question. This was the question. Which WPL players' debut international match was against Brazil and last international match was against Argentina, both in 2021? The answer was, we've already told you the answer. Tara Norris. Well done. And the person that correctly answered this question was, apart from Joy, it was Rohit Sutrave at IMS Rohit 118. Yes. At least one Rohit is having a good day. Zach, did you have any inkling of this one? No?
No idea.
DK?
Yeah, I knew that.
Of course.
Where did you read it?
No, I just know that she is the only player from associate nations playing the WPL. So I guess nobody else plays Argentina and Brazil.
DK is the most studious expert on this Cricbuzz panel. He's getting into cricketer zone as well, because a week later, he'll be in action for his IPL franchise. Zach and DK are both going to be very, very busy, as the biggest T20 party will be back. IPL season 16 is upon us on the 31st of March. As the financial year ends, the cricketing year really gets off to a flying start, with the defending champions, the Gujarat Titans, taking on MS Dhoni's Chennai Super Kings. It will be a match worth watching and match worth listening, because the crowd is going to be raucous. Mr. Zaheer Khan, whose fancy designation I can never remember, so once again, it's a very heavy designation. Global?
I'm looking forward to IPL.
Oh, yeah.
It's
As
going
a cricket
to be,
fan
it's going
first.
to be no bubble.
Oh, yes.
We're going to be back to being how it used to be, and it's going to be home and away. So that is something which we have to see now how it goes. The format is back, the originality is back, and a lot of travel and a lot of excitement.
Yes, and Mumbai Indians, of course, 5-time champions, looking to find that mojo of 2019 and 2020 as well. Dinesh Karthik, who had a stellar IPL last season, 330 runs. Dinesh Karthik, you seem to be fit I met you a couple of days ago. You're fit, you're fine, you look happy, you're in a good zone for a repeat act of last year.
I tell you what, being fit, being happy, all this counts for nothing. It's all about handling pressure when you get into IPL. That is a very, very
He has two
different
kit
beast.
bags. Dinesh Karthik has got two kit bags: the wardrobe kit bag, the broadcast kit bag, and the cricket kit bag.
Which one is
now the
bigger?
broadcast kit bag will go in the side, and the cricket kit bag will come out.
Which of those kits is bigger, DK?
For the moment, the cricket kit is much bigger, and I'm ready to start using that. I think the broadcast bit will just stay in the back seat for about 2 months from now.
Have you had to sit for like 6 hours and understand this new impact player rule? Because we're still trying to wrap our heads around it.
That's the most interesting rule. We have to see how it pans out. Now, the fact that the captain can walk in with two different teams, depending on whether they bat first or bowl first, again changes the dynamics of it. So in many ways, you can literally play 12 players. So, it just increases the competition between all teams. The fact that you can play 7 batters and 5 bowlers consistently in all games means that there's going to be more competition.
Zach, for you, is that one rule going to be a massive game changer? Is that going to influence the unpredictability of this format, of this league a lot more?
I think everyone is looking forward to that new rule. Once you go out there, once the matches start, it will be interesting to see how all the teams are looking at it. It's as something new comes in, you also have the different perspectives, different planning, and different people will be looking at and trying to dissect that rule in a different way. According to the need of their squad as well. But it's just the new dimension which is going to be a lot more talked about, I think, especially in the initial part of the season when everyone is figuring it out and trying to copy, maybe trying to learn from other teams, that how everyone is going to look at it.
Yes, the IPL turns 16. Sweet, sizzling, sensational 16 is going to be tonight's the 22nd of March. In about a week from now, the Cricbuzz studios will be buzzing. Of course, Zaheer Bhai will be in the dugout of the Mumbai Indians. DK will be on the field as well. We will be here. Gaurav Kapoor and his merry gang of cricket experts will be here. Joy Bhattacharya, Harsha Bhogle, Simon Dole, Michael Vaughan, Virendra Sehwag, so many more will be here in the Cricbuzz studio. So you can watch the cricket wherever you like, on TV or digital. But you know where you're going to watch the pre, mid and post shows, right here on the #1 digital cricket platform in the country. That's Cricbuzz. We'll be back with Cricbuzz live at, half an hour before the start of play on the 31st of March. So do join us for now. Thank you so much, ZK and DK.
Pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. We will see you at the IPL. Bye-bye.